I've got all the right ingredients for deviance, falling night expedience. Sees a chance, falling like the son of light. Seeking Pan, felt this calling.
So, what else should we talk about, Chico?
My name is Ryan Forrester, and I'm 26 years old, and my hometown is Raytown, Missouri.
So you grew up in Raytown. What high school did you go to?
Raytown South High School.
Cool. If you can just talk a little bit about like how you got started with rapping and then how that kind of progressed into running the other stuff.
Well, I think I wrote my first rap in 5th grade, and I think I was just messing around with a friend. We just wanted to see what we could do. Noticed it was easy. It was fulfilling, especially when you get people's reactions. I just, never stopped after that. Just the encouragement that I got from people.
Did you ever have, did you have a teacher or anything that was inspiring, or
Yes.
were you just always kind of a writer?
Indeed. Like my 5th grade teacher, she was like the most. She pushed me to create. She pushed me to, think outside the box. I do credit her for sure with, allowing me to just, be free with that and, keep going with it.
What was her name?
Miss Morris. Hopefully I can at least shout her out in some liner notes.
I noticed a lot when I was listening to your music, there's just a lot of really cool wordplay and you pull from a lot of various sources, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
Do you, what are you into that you kind of bring into your music?
Well, when I started doing music, it was always an introspective thing. Then once I got in high school and then afterward, I started, being inspired by esoteric literature and mythology and symbolism. Basically, I try to draw on spiritual concepts, but not to the point where it's dogmatic or anything. A transcendental type approach to music is what I try to do.
Oh, I noticed that. And there's a lot of elements of spirituality, but it does seem to be, I just like how you talk about spirituality and then also lead that into sort of the identity politics of your music. And a lot of it is kind of being rebellious and being true to yourself. Is that a way that you've always felt, or is that just...
Well, I'd say growing up, when you're underneath your parents and when you're underneath their influence, it's harder to completely be who you would want to be. And college was the time where I really got to do that, really be my true self. And I was always looking forward to that, looking forward to, being on my own in a sense and, fully express myself. Yeah, I think it was a little bit difficult for me growing up to fully be everything that I was. I had a religious background, and a lot of people in my family don't like music that is very secular. Now, I try to be my true self, as you said.
And I noticed that you really like phoenixes.
Yeah.
Also because, is your necklace a phoenix, or is
it's actually
Egyptian type thing?
It's an Egyptian symbol of Horus, and I feel like those symbols. It's a similar concept. Horus and the idea of rebirth and those concepts that you find in Christianity and lots of different religions. That's what it represents to me somewhat. The idea of regeneration, the continuous cyclic evolution of life.
You mentioned something that I just thought about. So when you were able to go to college, you were able to actually kind of perform. So when you were in high school, you talked a little bit about, being able to actually perform in school, but that was largely, the scope of it was really limited. So was there a process in high school where you, were kind of trying to do your thing and then got a lot of pushback?
They didn't know that I was a rapper unless you were a really close friend with me. I was a little bit more introverted in high school, so I wasn't all the way out there with my music. Yeah, in high school I wasn't as I wasn't as vocal about what I was doing musically, and I wasn't as developed as I became once I went to college.
Did you just kind of write on your own, secretly in your room?
Well, and with close friends for sure. Yeah, I wrote on my own, and it was like I said, it was around the teen angst time, so that's when it's kind of a journal of your inner thoughts, and sometimes it wouldn't be necessarily have to go to a beat at all. It was just a therapeutic thing, writing out how you feel, and just feel really. It's just therapeutic. That's all I can say. Cathartic to write that, and I would share it with a friend, but it wasn't until college that I really became comfortable enough to let people hear it, let people into that music.
What did you go to school for?
I went to school for English.
Okay.
Yeah, creative writing. Originally I wanted to do journalism, but I switched it to creative writing because I just I'm a creative person.
Right.
That's what I dig.
So you went to school for creative writing. Did you like have the goal, like, as soon as I get to school and I have this kind of freedom, like, I'm going to start performing?
Somewhat, yeah. It was always there. Like my family knew that that's what I wanted to do towards the end of high school, but they were always very adamant about me going to college. They said you gotta have plan B. You gotta have something else to fall back on.
Right. So you've done a lot of like open mic stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was the first open mic that you went to?
First open mic was at my dorm in college.
Yeah.
It was at McCollum dorm.
I was imagining it would be terrifying, it would go badly, but it went well.
It is terrifying, and I think when it stops being like a nerve-wracking kind of thing, or when you stop having those jitters, then it's not really it's not as fun. Like that's kind of that's the rush. That's part of the rush. So it was definitely a nerve-wracking thing at first, and it was like something I had to get over.
So when you talked about writing in school, it would like some of it was your own like kind of journaling type stuff, but you also had like a group of people that you were with?
In high school, when you get any free chance to like have quiet time, or when your teacher's not talking to you, you don't have an assignment, I would get with like-minded rappers, aspiring rappers in high school, and we'd sit there and write out little lines and trade them back and forth. So I think I had like maybe 2 or 3 guys that.
It was kind of collaborative, or was it more like, hey, you're the person where I want you to like read through this and tell me like it sounds good, any parts that need work?
It was like 50-50 that, but
Yeah.
we were collaborating. We were in a group together, and we trade rhymes, and we come up with verses, but it never became concrete. There was always something that kind of stopped us, whether it was like technological limitations or not having the right equipment, that type of thing.
So when you went to Lawrence to go to school, and now that because you're in KC now, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are some differences that you notice between like the music scene in Lawrence and KC?
In KC, in Lawrence, it's obviously a college town, and you get more. I feel like you have a lot more when it comes to hip hop conscious rappers. Sometimes there's more indie. There's more of an indie scene I experienced in Lawrence. I saw more in Lawrence as far as music than I had in KC growing up. But then again, I was a youngster. I wasn't able to just get into any venue that I wanted to. But I saw my first hip hop concert in Lawrence, and
Who was it?
It was LP. But nowadays Kansas City's getting a lot more cool acts coming through. As far as the scene, opportunities, there are opportunities for hip hop out in Kansas City, and I see both. I see the scenes growing right now in Lawrence and Kansas City. There's stuff happening in each place, and there's a lot of young cats coming out. So I'm optimistic about it.
Right.
And, it's on the upswing, I believe.
Right. Well, and I'm kind of interested in just how, like, when you get started out doing rap, how supportive the community is. Like, do you have to kind of prove yourself? Do you get a lot of crap first?
For sure, yeah. You definitely have to prove yourself. You have to get cool with a group of folks that are making things happen and somewhat pay your dues. You do have to prove yourself. And it's funny with hip hop because it's like in subtle ways. Like people will have you, freestyle something impromptu. For instance, last Sunday I had a show at the Riot Room for it was like a showcase of local artists called Shameless Sundays. And it's on the patio in the Riot Room. And after I got done with my set, another fellow came up and did his set, and then out of nowhere he was like, "Hey man, I know this might not be your repertoire, but would you like to freestyle about a certain subject on this song?" And it's like, yeah, why not? And I did it, and after that I could tell we both had mutual respect because I knew his music already, and I told him I dug it. So yeah, it's things like that.
Huh.
You do have to prove yourself sometimes.
Also, so when you make your beats and stuff like that, are there any bands that you really love that sort of music pulls from?
Yeah, for sure. Like I mentioned, the Mars Volta, and even though I don't think people would hear that aesthetically in the instrumentals that I have,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as lyrical composition and how I write that you might be able to find some of that. Right now with this project that I have, which is called Cairoglyphs, that's what I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hip hop electronica project, so I'm drawing from tons of house music from all over the place. Any decade. I'm just trying to absorb all that, immerse myself in it. So there's a lot of acts out there that I really dig. Shrews is somebody that I really look up to. I met Neon Indian is a cool. Disclosure obviously is an awesome house band. Strut is a really cool band that inspired me, and Azarian Third. Those are like the bands that I have completely submerged or immersed myself in and try to learn from.
What like rappers are your inspirations?
Oh gosh, that's such a hard question.
I know.
Because there's so many. I mean, I really love Outkast, Andre 3000, and Big Boy. They were the people who always like took it, to another dimension. Another influence that's really somebody that's really influential to me, Kanye West, definitely somebody that I look up to. He's very passionate about what he does, sometimes so much so that he makes people uncomfortable with it. Del the Funky Homo Sapien was somebody that I really enjoyed, and I really liked what he did with the Gorillaz. Growing up, that was very influential on me. Eclectic artists that they're just outside the box. Anything that tries to push the envelope and change things a bit and just give us a new perspective to look at is something that I'm gravitating towards.
Yeah, I noticed that on your album that it's kind of all kinds of different influences and different like styles and themes, and that's like what you want to be doing though, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like a thing where you're like, oh, I want to find my like little niche and do that. I want to continue to be good in all of these different realms.
I realize that I do have to hone it into something that is recognizable to people, a brand for folks to, reliably know what they're going to get from me. And so my idea is to get certain projects names that will, let you know exactly what you're going to get. But I can't be satisfied just dabbling in one genre. If it's possible for me to try something else like house music, which is, dance music, which is what I'm trying to do right now, then I'll explore that and under a different name, and that'll be my way of expressing myself.
Right. Well, and also, as an example, we kind of talked about the Roots, and I just think that the Roots audience is an audience that is not satisfied with just like one sound over and over and over. So do you think that that's like a thing that you're trying to cultivate as well?
Well, you think about today's market with music, and you think about how music is delivered to people, broadcasted. There's a lot of popular radio stations that play shuffle type, playlists. People are down with multiple genres nowadays. They don't just stick in one style. They like to dabble around just like I do. So.
And so we were kind of talking a little bit about earlier, just having the same music that we listened to when we were younger, and how it's kind of cool how that, it doesn't really matter where you're from or like what socioeconomic class you're from. Like music is kind of an equalizer.
Exactly. A couple years back, I went to see a show in Kansas City at the Record Bar, and the band flew in all the way from Japan because they were huge fans of a KC band called the Get Up Kids. I really dug their music. There was somewhat of a language barrier between some of the guys in the band, but just, let her hear some of my music because I enjoyed what she did, and I just wanted to communicate with her on that level as a musician. So she liked it, and a couple months passed, and I get the phone call that me and my friend who was there, whose band was playing that night as well, we were invited to fly out to Japan and perform at a festival with them. Music in itself and just the good times, the smiles, everything I experienced, I know that it connected with them, and it didn't matter that I didn't speak the language. It didn't matter that I didn't know anything about their customs or culture for real, besides what I read in the travel books to try to prepare. So that's a great example in my life where music is a transcendental thing that connects everyone.
Right. Like when you're at a great show, people just like overarching like big goal.
Well, my goal is to become a staple in Kansas City and in the area, the surrounding area, the spots that, Kansas City, Lawrence, maybe even St. Louis. I want to become, a staple and known for what the style that I'm trying to bring. So I see myself just campaigning, going out and just getting out in the trenches, performing at open mics, getting out, meeting people, supporting them, getting into different scenes, and just trying to learn and grow musically, because I know that I have a lot to, I can still keep growing with this. I know that my art is not done, it's not finished, it's not where I'm at a satisfied level with it. I'm growing every time I, approach the music. So I just see myself, making more realized visions of my music. Like that's what I see myself doing, and just connecting with people. And the ultimate goal is to live off of the music if I can.